Hello everyone, welcome to Silver Hill. This channel is for those of us who are semi-retired, presumably 55 and up. My name is Kevin. The channel's name is Silver Hill. Okay, we're going to discuss today, talk about the 5 greatest fears of being semi-retired. The very first fear I wrote down for myself was a sense of losing relevance. When you're at your workplace and you're used to going 9 to 5, perhaps 40 hours a week, the very first thing you're going to say and deal with is a loss of being around a lot of people, even if you only worked for a handful of people, or if you worked in public and you had several and more people per day, and you made some connections with other people as well. And those connections you kind of took to be, well, you call them work friends. But when you become semi-retired, as I did, and I took leave of my job several years ago, all those people that you looked at as very close friends in a sense, they disappear from your life. They're not really there to the same extent as you were used to. So what happens is you start to have a sense of losing relevance. Now, if you're like myself too, you raised a family. I have a few kids. They're all grown up, pretty much on their own now. And they, you live most of your life for those kids till they're at least 18, and you have a sense of relevance that you're out there working hard to provide for them, and they seem to be your main goal, really. And sometimes we get so caught up with raising our kids, that we tend to forget about these years that are coming ahead, if you're fortunate enough to live that long like we are to get here. And maybe you're not prepared for semi-retirement. Just crossing a bridge here right now. I'm gotta be careful I don't slip. There's a lot of snow, and like I said, it's pretty cold out here. I said earlier to someone. Anyways, had a little bit of an uphill jaunt here at first, so I'll try not to puff and pant too much. Okay, losing relevance is the very first thing we do. I would say the thing that overcomes this, well, depression often comes with this sense of lack of relevance. You don't seem to be as important to your family, your work friends anymore, and your other friends too. They get busy with their life afterwards, so it is a little difficult to maintain relationships. So one of the very first things I always say when you get yourself in a kind of a survival situation is to kind of accept that situation first. The first thing you want to do is look at your situation and say, hey, this is what it is. And if you focus on what you want, being right there in the moment, you're going to only cause yourself a lot of anxiety. That's for sure. So the first thing you'd want to do is accept. And don't compare it to the past. Don't compare yourself to things, what your expectations were for your past. That's a big problem with me, because I look back and I think, gee, it was something coming home from work and, meeting my kids and my wife and all that sort of thing, and being just there for them, and they seem to be there for you. But it's natural when they turn 18 or older, they want to start to leave and go out on their own. So that leaves you sort of alone as well. And maybe you have different reasons too. Maybe you lost a spouse as well in your semi-retirement years, and that puts quite a burden on you and can cause quite a bit of depression. Well, like I say, my advice is my advice. It's not professional career or medical advice, but I have had in the past some counseling for anxiety issues I used to have. And one of the things I would say is accept your situation, and then begin to, at first, focus on self-reliance. Start to think of yourself as being enough. That you really don't need all these other people in your life. You want them in your life, but you have to understand that you could survive without them. And to put yourself in that kind of mindset. But that, I would say, is the number one fear that I had, at least, and I still do experience, is this sense of waking up with maybe no purpose, of being no longer relevant to what's happening in the work world on a full-time basis. Because if you're semi-retired, you may be seeking, by the definition, you're still trying to work a little bit to make a little bit of money. Which brings me to my second biggest fear when you lose your work, is you always had the idea that when you got on your feet, whether you're going to work for 6 or 7 in the morning or 9 o'clock at night to do a night shift, whatever, if you did that, if you got out of bed, got some breakfast in you, got out of there, haul ass, got to work, then you had this sense that you were going to have enough money because you had money coming in constantly on a regular basis. Now, what might happen when you become semi-retired, because you've left your main job for whatever reason, could be health reasons, could have got laid off, maybe also your job, in my case, the last job I had, I did a lot of labor work before that and had my own contracts and that sort of thing. But one of the things is that the last job I had was working in a CD, DVD store. And of course, a lot of those closed. I lost my job to no fault of my own, but simply that the job was no longer there. They had to close due to streaming and other issues, management decisions, corporate decisions, that it was deemed there's no money anymore in CDs and that sort of thing. So that left me in this position, and yes, I too had to come to grips with making less or more intermittent money. So in this case, you have different options to fight this big fear. You could try to find part-time work. There are a lot of people looking for part-time work, and you may say, well, I need more than that, but you can start there. The same as, almost tripped. And the same as you could also volunteer. Sometimes volunteering leads to getting experience in a certain field, and then you can actually, sometimes a job comes up, you might get it because you've got some experience in that. Also, there's other things you can sell on Facebook Marketplace. I did do another video about this, about making money after you've retired or semi-retired. And, well, there's all kinds of different options. Even doing a YouTube channel, maybe you get popular enough, get enough views, enough subscribers, that can bring in you a little money too. So the way I kind of try to look at it now is that I'm going to do a number of little jobs and sell stuff, marketplace, whatever, YouTube. I do my art as well. I sell prints. I have done caricatures, that sort of thing. And all those kinds of things have led to some extra cash for me. Oh, by the way, I got this new selfie stick. Trying it out. I don't think I got it extended just exactly right and most comfortable, because right now my base of my thumb is starting to hurt. But I do see a bit of an improvement in the picture. It's not so bright in the back. And I've got to get used to other things like looking at the screen properly. Okay, the third, what I would consider the third fear is that you're going to be bored. That boredom's going to come along. Now, this is possibly true because even though you may have hated some of your days going to work, you probably weren't bored at it because you're always being forced and prod it like a beast, an animal, to keep performing and put in your hours and get it done. So that's one of the things. But you know, there are options to that too. There's hobbies you could look back to, your childhood interests, and see if you could remake them hobbies. You know, you could have outdoor activity hobbies as well. It's not just making puzzles and knitting or anything like that. Those things are all not gender biased. You can do anything you want these days, which is good for a hobby. And you take up a hobby, and sometimes you can take up a community hobby, whether it's card playing or whatever, putting quilts together, whatever, and you may actually find some more friends that way, and get out on your own. So you have that issue of boredom, perhaps. You just look into your past, look at interests that things you wanted to do that you couldn't do while you were working, and you just kind of make a list of those things, take a look at it, and you'd be surprised the solutions that'll come up for you. I got a bit of a sniffle here going on today, so I apologize for that. But I think it's mostly cold and not a cold because I have no symptoms at home. But this is what's happening now. So the next thing, kind of related to that, is your fear of health. What's your health going to be like when you're semi-retired? Well, your health is something that, the way I try to look at it is, when I was younger, I often thought of my health in terms of years, sometimes 10 years, you know, this year. I think now that I'm 60, 61, I'm kind of thinking more about, it in terms of days, months, that kind of thing, in a now sense. Let me try to explain myself. Yeah, it's important if you go for walks and exercise and start eating better, you'll probably see an improvement in your health. So the only thing you can really do to combat that fear is to do what you can. Do some light workout, whatever your doctor might recommend. I don't know what your situation is, light weightlifting, whatever. And going for walks, biking, whatever you're able to do, whatever you're physically able to do. And maybe, quit smoking. I mean, look, the facts, the science is there. Too much salt, too much sugar. But don't stress too much, because stress can do it as well. You want to have a time when you can enjoy the food that you're eating, and you want to treat yourself once in a while, but you want to kind of keep track up here. Am I eating burgers and fries every day? Probably not good for the old ticker. See your doctor, get blood tests done, see what your cholesterol is like, see what your blood pressure is like. That's an important basic one. And try to do the thing. If you have to take medication, because your health is everything now. I mean, it really is. I've gone through a couple of major surgeries. I consider them major in the last year, and it's really made me more conscious. One of them was I had to have TURP, which is a cleaning out of the prostate for it's a benign situation, but it wasn't very good. I had to wait 5 months for the actual surgery. I had to wear a catheter for 5 months. No fun at all. I mean, it had to be changed regularly. That is not pleasant. But there are ways around that, and perhaps I can help more in a future video for men out there that might have this problem. Yeah, they all said I was a little young for that, so I don't know. Nobody else in the family seemed to have it, but who knows, right? And the fact is, also, I had digestive issues that went on for years and years, and I went and had tests and tests. But I did find out, being attacked by a crow, I did find out eventually through, and I did a whole video on this too, on this channel, about how I almost died, and how that, it turned out to be that I had a necrotic gallbladder. Anyways, I ended up in the hospital. That was before TURP, and oh my, it all hit at once. And then I've had a very bad case of sciatica in the piriformis muscle there, swelling, which basically couldn't walk for 6 weeks. And I still have the fear, but I have to do exercises for that. But anyways, to get back to my point, one of your greatest fears as you get into self-retirement is, you know, that at this stage of life, you're going to, let's face it, some point between now and 80, 90, however long you live, you are going to have health issues. It doesn't matter, you might have had the perfect, it's rare, some people do make it and they don't have any, they never have to have surgery, or they don't have any health issues. But I would say the majority of us are going to find something they're going to end up in. And that's going to be a disruption in it's going to cause some depression, and it's going to cause disruption in your income as well. Now, I'm not an expert on investments or that sort of thing, so I can't really help you there. You know, you have to look for somebody else that has like an accounting experience, or they know more about pension plans and that type of thing. A little habit I'm trying to break, saying sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, you kind of have to look at this part as health is wealth, and what you want to do is no more fooling around with too many chips and cigarettes and whatever it is, drinking alcohol too much. Whatever the science says, start to go with it, because your body, I don't know about you, but I find that if I get something now, I don't spring back up the same way. And ever since I had the sciatica, for example, I'm still scared to death. I'm scared to death that every day, and I'm doing this exercise to make sure that the piriformis muscle is not stretched or is stretched and not going to get inflamed through the day. But yeah, your health, all you can do though is you can only do what you can do, and your best bet there is to begin to eat better, get sleep. Sleep is important. All the study shows, you don't have to be a doctor to know this, get some decent sleep. And sleep will help most people. Yeah, there's the rock stars out there that can go without sleep and nothing seems to happen to them. But generally, you'll have a better disposition if you sleep, exercise, and eat better. Okay, so that's one of the fears. That's I would consider the fourth fear. The last fear, and I've covered this in another video a bit, is loneliness. Because as you semi-retire into retirement, you're going to find that you're going to get less people in your life, and it's a fact. Lonely, 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 like the Led Zeppelin song says. That's just going to happen. And there's some ways you can combat that, but again, I would say don't compare yourself to the past. If you were around 20, 30 plus people, even 5 your entire life, and you're looking for that again, well, you can try, but I would say don't depress yourself by comparing what you had then to what you have now. Start at the beginning, start where you're at, and phone up a friend. If you're into faith type of based things, look for a community of faith. Try not to get one that's a cult or a wacko, and just get something that will put you around with people and you won't feel that loneliness so much. I would say one of the advice I would start to say is you're probably, and I've seen this in a lot of older people, perhaps you're experiencing it now, is you try to substitute that loneliness in your later years with trying to get your kids back to where they were when you were younger. I would say it's not a good idea to pester your kids, to guilt them about never visiting. Oh, they live so far away. But these are the times we're in, and this is the culture and civilization we have. Children, offspring, they can't stay home these days. So they have to travel, they have to do their dreams, they have to find money themselves. And I try to just consider that I have very good children, even though they're grown up now. They turn into be the best adults ever out there, and they're making the world a better place. And I can't really expect them to be in my life every day. There's times that, yeah, I wish, I've got one that doesn't really stay in contact very much. He's got a family, and I wish I did hear from more, but it's just the way it is. Because otherwise you're going to go around beating your head on the wall. Why doesn't this person call? I'm so lonely. And you know what? If you start sending off those I'm so lonely vibes, they're not going to want to visit anyway. All right, I got to keep from bumping a big tree here. A couple that fell down. That's a major. Let me see if I can show you this in the background. Look at that. That's some tree, hey? Fell down there like that. Knocked it down. Anyway, so loneliness is a big deal. But you can try to find a friend. You might have somebody that you know. I have a friend, an art friend, for example, because I do art. Over the years, I made this friend. And now we're starting to see each other once in a while. He'll come for a visit, and it's great. It really does help. I mean, you have to be willing not to accept that sort of thing or expect to have it the same as the way it was. Try to be willing to change, and things will be a bit better. Okay, it's been a while since I did a video. The sun's starting to come out, which is good. But those, I would say, are the 5 biggest fears going into semi-retirement or retirement, if you want to add that. And those fears have to do with the feeling of being not validated, but the feeling of having some sense of purpose. Also, let's see, losing your memory. But yeah, those are the 5 things. It's losing relevance. I got a cheat notes here. Not enough money, boredom, health issues, and loneliness. Now, if there's any others that you can think of, and if you've got some solutions for people, some ideas, please write them in the comments and help us get through this sort of stage in our life and make the best of it. Because, hey, this could be all we get. We don't know for sure. And we want to make the best of it regardless of our healthy situation. Okay, that's it for me for here from today, Silver Hill. And I hope to see you again soon. And I hope you enjoyed this video and it's some use to you. All right, guys. You have a good one. Bye.